Hi guys. I've had a few requests to do a video about EFT, the Emotional Freedom Technique, and to talk a little bit about how it works, which is a bit of a hard task. But basically, I'll try and explain. It involves tapping points, which are to do with our acupressure points, the same kind of points that are used in acupuncture, actually, to calm the nervous system down. And we use this technique as we tap these parts on the body to kind of help with any negativity that's coming up. And this can be negativity in a habit of behavior. It can be an anxiety in the mind, or even a pain in the body. It can work physically as well. And the best way to explain it is to probably try it out with you. So usually it works in a one-to-one setting, and the client comes with something usually negative, to be honest. So it's different from other therapies, and that we concentrate on the negative and give that kind of airtime. And then we mirror tap if we're on the screen, or maybe I tap on the person if it's in real life. And we kind of go through a round or two of tapping. Now, what can happen is the thing that you come with can change. So it can change into a completely different topic that you didn't expect that it was sitting behind this one. Or it can turn into a physical sensation, and it doesn't matter. There's no kind of judgment. It can go wherever it wants, and we just follow where the mind or the body goes as we start with these tapping points. So it's harder to work in a group setting, but we'll just give it a go. One thing that's a good kind of test to show how it works is using your own breath. So I just want you to sit, perhaps with your eyes closed, spine nice and tall. And just for a few moments, just connect to your breath. Just observing the quality of the breath, whether it feels smooth, perhaps a bit jerky. Does it feel free-flowing, or is there any restriction? And maybe on a sliding scale, 0 being the breath is very, very easy, it flows to the best capacity, and 10 being it's very restricted and hard to breathe. Where would you place your breath right now on that scale between 0 and 10? 0 being easy, 10 being restricted. Even just guessing at a number is good enough. And then gently opening the eyes, and we'll do one round of tapping together. So you're simply going to repeat after me and tap these points onto the body. I'll show you the points first. We begin by tapping the side of the hand, and we do what's called the setup phrase. So we repeat a phrase. In this case, don't do it now, but we will do, even though my breath is restricted at a, whatever the number is for you, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. We say that 3 times. And then we tap the negative around the body. It starts at the top of the eyebrow. We tap around 7 times, saying the negative. So it would be this restriction in the breath. Then we tap the side of the eye. This restriction in my breath underneath the eye. Always repeating the negative back underneath the nose, underneath the lip, on the collarbones, underneath the opposite armpit, and back to the top of the head. That's one round, and then we repeat that whole cycle 2 more times. Okay, so we're going to try this together, remembering the number that you have in your restriction with your breath. And we're just having like an open tapping session just to see what it's like, just to get a taster of it. So start by copying me now and tap the side of your hand. Repeat after me. Even though I have this restriction in my breath, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And again, even though I have this restriction in my breath, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have this restriction in my breath, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Fantastic. So just tapping on the top of your eyebrow, this restriction in my breath. Try and keep your eyes open. Doesn't matter what side of the face you tap. Side of the eye, this restriction in my breath. Underneath the eye, this restriction in my breath. Underneath the nose, this restriction in my breath. Underneath the lip, this restriction in my breath. Collarbones, this restriction in my breath. Armpit, this restriction in my breath. Top of head, this restriction in my breath. Another round, even though I have this restriction in my breath. Even though it's at a number, repeat your number. Even though I have this restriction in my breath. Even though it's at a blank. This restriction in my breath. 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 More on this restriction in my breath. 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 This restriction at a number blank. Feeling this restriction in my breath. This restriction in my breath. Even though I have this restriction in my breath, repeating after me, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Good. Just taking a deep breath in now. You can shut your eyes. Exhale out of your mouth. Just take a moment to drop into your body and your mind. Notice if anything came up, any sensations around the body or in the mind as we tapped. And then just notice your breathing now. Notice its quality and how it's flowing. And if you could rate your breath and the ease of breath between 0 and 10, 0 being easy, 10 being a little bit 10 being very restrictive, just noticing where you place your breath on the scale now after one round of tapping. Gently opening the eyes. Fantastic. So it may be that your number went down and you were able to release some of that restriction of breathing through one round. It is just a tester, so it might not have been that you were connected to it, which is fine. So the number might have stayed the same, and that's totally fine. But in my experience, using this practice, again, for anything, usually what happens is it brings it down on the scale towards 0. And that's where we're aiming for. Wherever the problem, we're trying to reduce it in some way. So I'm offering EFT sessions at the moment, especially during this time of self-isolation. So it works over Zoom, which is great. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I'm reducing my price to £35 for an hour session. And if you are a key worker or just are really struggling at the moment financially, I'm really happy to offer some free sessions as well. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with me, and feel free to share this video with anybody who might be in need. It's a really wonderful practice, and yeah, I really look forward to hearing your experiences as you start your EFT journey. Thank you so much.